Hey, this is Brian. Hope you're doing well. Today, I want to share with you one of my favorite data and sales tools for selling into higher education. This is from the Chronicle of Higher Education. It's a tool called Who Does Your College Think Its Peers Are? And they released this in the last year. This currently looks at data from 2020, 2021 year, which I think is the most current available. All of this comes from the Department of Education's IPEDS data set. I'll link to this Chronicle tool below. I'll also link to the IPEDS source data. IPEDS is a great source of data, not the most user-friendly sometimes to make meaning out of all the data that's there. And this is where this tool really shines. So I've already searched in here for Queen's University of Charlotte, my former institution where I was CIO for about a decade. And they have, you can see in this information box at the bottom, Queen's selected 14 colleges as their peers, 20 colleges selected Queen's. So you can see all of these bubbles, and there's a legend here at the top. These are all private universities in blue, some bachelor, some master, some doctoral. And you can see these are mostly colleges from the South and the East, which makes a lot of sense. Wofford and Furman in South Carolina, Belmont, University of Dallas, High Point here in North Carolina, Guilford College, Wingate University. Lenore-Ryan University, lots of schools that are geographically similar. And you can see a really interesting comparison in the information box. So Queens has the same admissions rate as its peer set. So they are truly peers in that way, the same selectivity. You can see that the peer set has about a 12% greater graduation rate. And often you'll see that the schools that colleges set as their peers are a really interesting mix of true peers that are very, very comparable across a lot of measures, and also a lot of aspirant schools who are already where that school wants to be in the future. So you can see also this peer set is about twice the enrollment size of Queens. So maybe an indication that there's a desire to grow on behalf of Queens. Doesn't always mean that, but it's an interesting data point. And then looking at one of its peers, so you can click on any of these bubbles. The size of the bubble is based on the number of other schools who listed it as a peer. So Elon University, which I have a lot of affinity for, is named by a lot of other schools as its peer or someone that they look up to, deservingly so. So if you click on that, now you can see both schools together and some crossover of who are peers to each of these. This has always been kind of a confusing view for me. So we're going to go ahead and take Queens out of this view just to see Elon. So you can see Elon now is a mix, mostly private colleges that it compares itself to, but also a few different public universities, which is really interesting. And it's a little bit more of a national mix. You've got schools like Villanova and Bucknell from more of the Northeast. You've got Santa Clara from California, and then a good mix of some other Southern or Southeastern, like Furman and Davidson, Midwestern in Butler, go Dogs. And looking at the information box, you can see Elon's admissions rate, 72%, and their comparison set is about 15% more selective in terms of number of students admitted. So maybe that's a sign to where Elon would like to go in the future. Interestingly, you can see the comparison set is about 10% smaller in enrollment than Elon. So maybe Elon has gotten to the size that it wants to stay at and wants to compare itself to other schools that are about that size rather than looking at something that's bigger. You can also add to that comparison by just searching in the search box. So I'm going to look for University of Memphis, which I'm familiar with and like a lot. And you see in this case, instead of there being crossover like there was between Queens and Elon, these are two fully independent comparison sets. So maybe there's not a lot of similarity between University of Memphis, a large public, and Elon, which is a mid-sized private. So we'll clear Elon from the search set. Now we're just looking at Memphis. You can clearly see, and again, the legend at the top, these are all public in this data. Red is public, blue is private, and these are all public doctoral institutions. So that's who Memphis is comparing themselves to. They are peers of that. Looking at here, so it looks like Memphis has an 85% acceptance rate. They're comparing themselves to institutions that are 17% more selective. So maybe a sign that that's where they want to go. Similarly, looks like the data set of peers has about a 16% higher graduation rate. And interestingly, an enrollment size that's more than double. So maybe Memphis has some intention of growing, and all of those can be signs on if you're consulting with a university, selling to a university, looking at going to a university as a faculty member or an employee or whatever that is. Those can be some signs of who do they want to be, who do they want to be more like, what are things that they may want to improve on. And from a purely sales standpoint, that can be some real signs there as well. So let's take Memphis as an example, and I was part of selling and closing Memphis previously, so I'm familiar with them. Maybe the most powerful tool for me out of this whole set is, you can see at the top right now, this is the view of who the college chose. And you can get this on the iPad site fairly easily to see who it is that each particular college chose. But you can then flip that setting and click on this tab for who chose this college. And now you get the inverse view of who are all of the different colleges who selected, in this case, University of Memphis as their peer, or again, maybe as a college that they look up to. So let's say University of Memphis is a customer that you've recently sold to, and then you are looking at, where can I go prospecting next? Who are other colleges and universities that may be good opportunities for our service, for our product? Now, here's a list. We can see in the bottom, 30 colleges selected Memphis as a peer. So now that's a great opportunity, knowing that universities really like the trust and the social proof of using platforms and tools and services and companies that their close peer schools also use and have validated and trust and have had a good experience with. So now there's an opportunity for an account-based marketing campaign all around these 30 other schools that all see themselves as similar to or look up to University of Memphis, who's already a customer. And you can clearly then see how that can multiply, where, say, for example, Georgia State, great example, great school. They list them as a peer. Now add to that, who lists Georgia State as a peer. Now there's an even bigger map of areas. And this can work. These are large doctoral public universities, fantastic. Can also work, as we saw with Elon and Queens, for smaller private universities, can do the same for community colleges, and lots of great opportunities there. And again, looking at, we'll go just back to Memphis. If you've got, let's say, University of Memphis is a prospective customer, and you're doing research, maybe you can say, hey, you know what, maybe Ball State is already a customer. So now you see this customer that we're in the process of working an opportunity. Maybe there's an existing customer, or maybe again, seeing in this informational box, how can your tool or solution or service help increase the selectivity of a university, of attracting more applicants, or of or of improving retention rate, or of helping the university grow, help move students to graduation, whatever those metrics are. These are things that the university is showing that they care about. So then speaking to those cares and concerns can be a really powerful process. Lots of other different data and insights and opportunities through this tool and in the iPEDS data, but I really do like the intuitive nature of this visualization and all of the different power that you can do looking at single institutions, comparing to institutions, to have a lot of power in what you can do with that. Hope this is helpful.